High school is supposed to be one of those, you'll look back and laugh phases of life. For me, it was the kind of memory that used to make my stomach tighten just thinking about it. I wasn't exactly popular. I wasn't invisible either, I was just there. The quiet kid who got good grades, didn't talk much, and liked sketching in the back of class. My group of friends was small but solid, and I thought that was enough. But high school has a way of reminding you that being different, even just a little, can make you a target. Enter Tyler. He was the kind of guy who ruled the social food chain without even trying. Athletic, charming, naturally funny, and good-looking in that careless, messy-haired way. Teachers loved him because he knew how to make them laugh. Girls liked him because he had that bad boy confidence. And guys respected him because he was the captain of the basketball team. And for some reason he decided that I was funny. Not in the you're a cool person kind of way. No, in the you're an easy punchline kind of way. It started small. A few jokes about my clothes, my glasses, the way I walked. The kind of teasing that people brushed off as harmless fun. But Tyler had a gift, he knew how to make cruelty sound like comedy. He'd roast me in front of everyone and they'd all laugh because nobody wanted to be the one who didn't. I tried to ignore it. I told myself it didn't matter, that high school would end soon, and I'd never have to see him again. But then that day happened, the day that burned itself into my memory. It was our junior year talent show. I wasn't even supposed to be in it. My friend Megan convinced me to sign up for the art showcase. Basically, they displayed student paintings and drawings during intermission. I had submitted a portrait I'd been working on for weeks. A graphite drawing of a girl looking through a cracked mirror. It was symbolic, a bit moody, but I was proud of it. On the day of the show, everything seemed fine. My drawing was framed and displayed in the hallway outside the auditorium with the others. People actually stopped to look at it, and a few teachers even complimented me. For once I felt seen. Until I didn't. When the show ended and people were leaving, I went to take my artwork home and froze. Someone had drawn a crude mustache and unibrow over the girl's face in black marker. Across the top, written in thick, ugly letters, were the words, "Nice self-portrait, loser." I remember the sound of laughter behind me, Tyler's laugh, unmistakable and sharp. My friends turned to look, but I just stood there staring at my ruined drawing. My face felt hot, my throat tight. I didn't cry. Not then. I just quietly unhooked the frame, carried it out, and threw it away before anyone could see the tears burning behind my glasses. It was humiliating. But what made it worse was that everyone knew he'd done it. Nobody said anything. Not a teacher, not even my friends. Tyler was untouchable. After that, I stopped trying. I ate lunch in the art room, avoided assemblies, and focused on graduating. I told myself that someday people like Tyler would peak early and fade into mediocrity, and that I'd move on to better things. And I did. I went to college out of state, double majored in graphic design and digital marketing, and worked my ass off. I built a portfolio, got an internship at a creative agency, and after graduation, landed a job at a marketing firm in the city. I had a decent apartment, a great roommate, and a boss who actually respected my work. Life was good, quiet but good. Then one random Tuesday afternoon, while scrolling through LinkedIn, I saw a name I hadn't thought about in years. Tyler Brooks. Same smirk. Same confident grin in his profile picture. And, because the universe apparently loves irony, he was listed as a freelance entrepreneur looking for brand development opportunities. Curiosity got the best of me. I clicked on his profile. His job history was vague. Something about trying to start a lifestyle clothing brand, but it looked like it hadn't gone anywhere. His posts were full of motivational quotes and pictures of him grinding at coffee shops. Classic Tyler. I almost scrolled away. But then I saw something that made me pause. Under connections, I noticed a few people from my industry, even one of my company's clients. Apparently, he was trying to break into marketing, pitching small businesses and influencers on visual branding strategies. And the kicker? He was using my old college portfolio images in his pitch decks. Not the exact same designs, but enough that I recognized the style, the typography, the color palettes, even the layout templates I'd made from scratch. He'd either taken inspiration a little too literally or straight up ripped them off. The longer I scrolled, the angrier I got. This was the guy who made me feel worthless for being creative, now pretending to be me to make money. At first I thought about ignoring it. People like him burned out on their own eventually. But then I saw a post where he tagged one of my company's biggest clients, a restaurant chain we'd done a rebranding project for. The caption said something like, "Excited to be working with amazing partners on upcoming campaigns." I knew for a fact he wasn't. That's when something in me snapped. Years of humiliation, that stupid talent show, the laughter, the silence, all of it came flooding back. And I decided to do something about it. I started small. I saved screenshots of everything, his posts, his client claims, even a few of his messages where he bragged about working with top agencies. Then, using my work email, I reached out to one of our actual clients, the one he tagged, and casually asked if they were collaborating with anyone new. They weren't. Then I messaged Tyler directly. I didn't use my name. I created a fake email under a generic marketing consultant alias and pretended to be a small business owner interested in his services. He replied almost immediately. Full of charm, confidence, and fake professionalism. He sent me a sample deck, and there it was. My design. My fonts. My layout. Even my tagline. I could have gone straight to my boss right then, but I wanted to make sure this hit him where it hurt most. His ego. So I waited. I built up a little fake brand using Canva templates and kept messaging him for consultations. Over the course of a week, he revealed more than he probably should have, including that he'd been collaborating with a few companies I knew personally. When I was done gathering everything, I compiled a little presentation of my own. Screenshots, file comparisons, timestamps, and even snippets of his consultation emails. I sent the entire package to my boss, explaining that someone was impersonating our company's work for profit. Within a day, legal got involved. By the end of the week, my boss called me into her office with a grin. "You'll want to see this," she said, pulling up an email thread. Apparently, one of the companies Tyler had been pitching had forwarded his materials, and our firm's legal department had sent him a cease and desist letter. But that wasn't the best part. A few days later, one of my coworkers stumbled upon a post in a local business Facebook group, Tyler, publicly complaining about being attacked by jealous competitors. He went on a long rant about how corporate agencies were afraid of young entrepreneurs. The comments roasted him. Someone had dug up his LinkedIn and pointed out the stolen work. Others shared screenshots of his messages, and by the end of the thread, his entire reputation was in shambles. Watching it unfold was surreal. Part of me felt guilty, like I'd gone too far. But the other part, the one that remembered that ruined drawing, felt free. Still, I thought that would be the end of it. I'd had my justice. I'd made my point. But fate had one more twist waiting for me, because a few weeks later I saw his name again. This time not on social media. On a job application. To my company. When I saw his name on that application, I honestly thought it was a glitch. Maybe another person with the same name. But then I opened the attached resume and there it was. His face. That same smug grin, only now with a touch of desperation. He'd applied for a junior marketing consultant position at my firm. For a few seconds I just stared at the screen, blinking. The irony was so heavy it was almost comical. The same guy who made my life miserable in high school, who'd once ruined my artwork and called me a loser, was now trying to work under me. Because guess who was listed as the lead designer and team supervisor for that role's department? Me. I couldn't help but laugh. A quiet, disbelieving laugh that built into something almost hysterical. The universe has a sense of humor, and this was proof. The next morning, I walked into my boss's office and asked as casually as possible if I could sit in on the interviews for the open position. She nodded immediately. "Sure. You've got a great eye for potential. Who's caught your attention?" I hesitated for a split second before answering, "Tyler Brooks." She raised an eyebrow. "The one with the weird resume? He looks a little overconfident for his experience, but sure, join in." The interview was scheduled for Friday. I spent the next few days going over the details, making sure my expression wouldn't betray the storm of emotions swirling inside me. When Friday came, I wore my most professional outfit and sat beside my boss in the conference room, laptop open, notes ready, pulse racing. Then the door opened and there he was. He looked almost the same, still tall, still with that lazy charm, but a little older, a little less polished. His confidence faltered for half a second when he saw me. His smile flickered, recognition dawning slowly in his eyes. He tried to play it off, offering a polite handshake. I shook it firmly, pretending not to notice the flicker of panic behind his practiced grin. "Tyler Brooks." My boss greeted him, motioning to the chair across from us. "Thanks for coming in. This is our lead designer who you'd be working closely with if hired." "Nice to meet you," he said, his voice just slightly strained. I smiled. "You too." He had no idea what I was going to do. The interview began and my boss led with the usual questions. Experience, teamwork, goals, the standard stuff. Tyler, to his credit, was smooth. He talked about his freelance marketing experience, his client relationships, and his branding projects. Every other sentence was buzzword soup, designed to sound impressive while saying absolutely nothing. Then it was my turn. I leaned forward slightly. "So, Tyler," I said evenly, "could you tell us more about the specific design work you've done? Maybe share an example or two." He blinked, glanced at his folder, and started describing a campaign that sounded eerily familiar. My campaign. The one he'd stolen. "Interesting," I interrupted softly, tilting my head. "That sounds a lot like the structure we use for our restaurant clients. How did you come up with that tagline?" He hesitated. "Well, I collaborated with a creative partner on that one." "Oh." I smiled, all polite curiosity. "Anyone we'd know?" His jaw tightened. He knew I knew. My boss was watching, slightly puzzled, but she didn't interrupt. Tyler stumbled through a few more answers before finally wrapping up. When the interview ended, he thanked us with forced enthusiasm and all but bolted for the door. The moment he left, my boss turned to me. "Well, that was odd." "Yeah," I said, keeping my expression neutral. "He might not be the best fit." She nodded slowly. "Agreed. Something about him feels off." I could have left it at that. That should have been enough. But I'd waited years for this kind of closure, and I wasn't done yet. After the interview, I sent my boss a brief email summarizing what I'd found out about him earlier. The fake portfolio, the stolen designs, the legal warning from our department. I attached the screenshots again just in case. Within an hour, HR officially blacklisted him from any future consideration. The next day I got an unexpected message on LinkedIn. It was from Tyler. Did you have to do that? I get it, you're still mad about high school. But that was a long time ago. You really didn't have to humiliate me. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back. You humiliated me first. I just let the truth catch up. He didn't reply. Weeks went by. I didn't hear anything else and honestly I didn't expect to. But about 2 months later one of my coworkers mentioned seeing him working at a local cafe. Not as a freelancer, not as a designer but as a barista. Apparently his clients had dropped him after the plagiarism debacle, and word spread fast in the local marketing circles. I wasn't proud exactly. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about finally being seen for who I'd become, not who he made me feel like I was. Life went on. I kept building my career, got promoted, started mentoring new interns. Sometimes when I'd stay late working on a project I'd think about that kid I used to be. The one who stood in front of a defaced drawing pretending it didn't hurt. If I could go back I'd tell that kid, just wait. You'll get the last laugh someday. And I did. The real twist came almost a year later though. Our firm was working on a large marketing campaign for a new startup. Ironically, a creative agency run by one of Tyler's old college friends. During a meeting the founder mentioned something that made my heart skip. He said, funny story. One of my old buddies tried to get me to invest in a clothing brand years ago. Name was Tyler Brooks. He said he had design experience but I saw his stuff and told him it looked copied. Guess you dodged a bullet hiring him, huh? I smiled faintly. Yeah. Guess we did. That night when I got home I opened an old folder on my computer. The one that still had the digital scan of my ruined high school drawing. I kept it all these years without really knowing why. I looked at it one more time, the smeared ink, the childish insult, and for the first time I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel small. I felt free. Because I'd realized something. Revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about reclaiming the power that someone else tried to take from you. I closed the folder and deleted the file. Not out of bitterness but because I didn't need it anymore. That part of my life, the humiliation, the pain, the constant need to prove myself, was gone. And as I sat there sipping my coffee I thought about how poetic it all was. The boy who once mocked me for being too quiet, for trying too hard, ended up silenced by his own arrogance. Meanwhile I built a career out of the very thing he used to laugh at. The irony still makes me smile sometimes. Because if there's one thing I've learned it's this. Karma doesn't always come fast, but when it does, it hits harder than any insult ever could.